The fans are healing me through a very, very difficult chapter of my life.
She's a legend of country music who most recently is back on tour following the tragic death of her mother.
She's more than a cliche. She's my mom. And I tell people my story because I want them to know that I'm a human being, not just a human doing. And I think when I tell my story, other people go, I get you, girl.
The loss of her longtime partner in music, her mother, intrusive media, lawsuits to protect her privacy, and still, Wynonna Judd just keeps moving forward.
I go to work and I do what it is I'm absolutely in this life to do, and that is to absolutely change the noise in the room to something positive and hopeful.
Guys, welcome to another edition of The Pulse. And today on the show, we are joined by country music royalty. 19 million, yes, you, country music royalty. 19 million albums and #1 hits, dozens of them. And somebody who has a story, like so many of the people we have on the show, coming on to spend some time with us. Wynonna Judd, welcome to The Pulse.
Why, thank you very much.
I appreciate you doing this.
Well, I appreciate telling my story.
You know, that's interesting that you start there. And I was looking at your social media as we start there, and I saw some of the posts, and I kind of wanted to start with a very open-ended general question. How are you? Like, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Most days are good. Every now and then I have a bad day, and it's a bad day, not a bad life.
One of the things on your social media said broken and blessed at the same time.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
That means I have a broken heart, and I go to sound check and I sing Love is Alive. And then fast forward to the night on stage when 14,000 people are singing back to me the words to the song, and all is right in the world. I feel blessed. I feel levitated off the stage. I feel loved in a way that knocks me on my butt. And the fans are healing me through a very, very difficult chapter of my life. And I just feel like no matter how brokenhearted I am, I show up, whatever shape I'm in, and I'm open to the process. And the process tells me something good is about to happen. And when it does, booyah.
I mean, you've been on stage in some capacity, signed at like 19, correct?
I was 18 years old. The first time I ever performed on stage, I was in front of a 10,000 person crowd, and the rest is herstory. And yes, I've been doing this since I was 18 years old. So I kind of have grown up in the public eye, and my fans are my family.
So growing up in the public eye, I'd imagine that whole, broken and blessed, it can be a blessing and a curse. But right now, that public support seems like it is helping you through that difficult time.
Absolutely, 100%. It's not a curse. It's a blessing and a burden at times, carrying a burden. You know how that feels. Sometimes it's really heavy. And I let it go when I sing. I literally can say, in with peace, out with fear, or whatever I'm feeling at the time. And the music speaks louder. And that's what I concentrate on the majority of my life. You
and your family have been very open as it relates to, you're now speaking out on mental health challenges. It obviously is very public, what happened with your mother. Why so open sharing these challenges of mental health, the battles that to some extent that your family continues to deal with on a daily basis?
That is a great question. I don't know that I know the answer to it. I can just tell you what I'm experiencing, and that is that, I tell people every day, it's a disease. It's not my mother's heart, and there's a difference. It's a disease. It's a D-I-S, ease, E-A-S-E. And she died she was as determined to live as she was to die. And people don't understand that unless they've gone through it. So the people that have gone through it, they don't feel so alone. And they can tell me their story. I tell them my story, and all of a sudden we're just bonded in some kind of, it's deeper than show business. Let's put it that way. Okay. And the ones who don't understand, you let them go and you say, you know what, whomever I can help, let it be a blessing to them and help them through something, because I'm not the only person. I'm not a victim. I am a victor through my music, and I have crap that goes on in my personal life, and we deal with it and we move forward.
How long did it take you to get to that point? I mean, and I have to tell you, in looking at some of your comments and interviews and some of the things that you and your family have had to deal with, I don't know that I'm that strong. So when did you get to the point?
I don't know that I'm strong. I'm willing. I'm willing to show up in whatever shape I'm in. I just did an interview where I cried the majority of the interview because he kept talking about my mom. And I just had a tender heart at the moment. And I let it fly because I thought, people need to know that this is not, okay, let's get real. Social media, you don't know what's real. Right? You don't know what's real. And I am determined to help the stigma dissipate. I think people look at my mom and they think, oh my God, she was crazy, or they say whatever cliche they say. She's more than a cliche. She's my mom. And I tell people my story because I want them to know that I'm a human being, not just a human doing. And I think when I tell my story, other people go, I get you, girl. I know what you're going through. My mom and my dad, they just got divorced, or my mom, committed suicide, or I have a daughter or a sister or a brother and a dad. I have all the stories in my vocabulary today. And I can tell you this, we all feel helpless because it's as mysterious as the ocean is deep. Mental illness. I don't like that term. It's a disease, and she was not her disease.
Social media, and you were just talking about it, so social media is not real. But the challenge with that is that people, especially someone who has been in the public eye as much as you have, people think they know. And so then people post things out there, or they have comments or judgments or what have you, and that becomes fact. How? Do you counter that? Or do you just, as you said, just float and fly? I can't deal with everything that somebody thinks.
One, don't fight with pigs. You both get dirty and the pig likes it.
Yeah.
That's number one. And number two is 1/3 of the people will love you no matter what you do. 1/3 of the people will never love you no matter what you do, and the rest don't care. So you have 1/3. I'm speaking to the 1/3 that get it, that understand me, and the rest that don't. Bless your heart, because there's going to come a day when you're going to feel like I do. And I hope that you have people around you that treat you better than you've treated me today.
Next on The Pulse, Wynonna Judd tells us how she deals with people she says don't know her or what they're talking about.
We need celebration, we need love, and we need forgiveness. And all I can do is say, oh my God, I don't know who these people are, but bless their heart.
This is me flying, this is me trying, this is what keeps me alive.
In doing research for this interview, I guess it's similar to your fan base. Like, most of the media seemingly has respected your family's wishes to some extent, has not pushed and probed. And then there are some that just seem mean-spirited. Is that the general nature of it? How do you deal with that? Just kind of go by it? There was some of the stuff that I read as we were preparing for this interview that I went, wow, like why?
I cry and then I go to work.
It doesn't hamper you.
Listen, I'm an artist, and there's a cost to being an artist. You feel everything. And in my family, I feel everything. And in my personal life, I'm an empath and I feel you. I literally can't help it. It's something that I've had to deal with my entire life, and it's no different today than it was. I go to work and I do what it is I'm absolutely in this life to do, and that is to absolutely change the noise in the room to something positive and hopeful, because we know that life is short. We know that life is short. Anyone who has a granddaughter or a grandchild knows that this is going by really fast, and there's nothing I can do to change your mind. But I tell you what I can do. I can sing.
You absolutely can sing. You mentioned and talked about mental disease. Your family asked to some extent for certain things not to be released, certain details not to be discussed, and people respected it for the most part. Right. When people didn't, well, let's not even go there. Why did you ask that certain things just not be out there and kind of be able to control the narrative?
Two things. I understand morbid curiosity. I watched a documentary about two people who died, and they literally took them down the main street, and people were reaching in and taking off jewelry from the bodies. And I remember watching that going, oh my God, people can't help themselves. We can't help it, rubberneck. I get it. I understand it. However, is it doing any good? I'm not so sure.
No,
I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert, but I can tell you this. I don't know that it's helpful to anyone out there to know something that is so negative that it bypasses the positive in a way that hampers your day. I just think, oh my God, we have enough to deal with. Diseases and everything going on in this lifetime. Can we please say something positive? It's like the news. I feel like they should have an opportunity to say some good news. And I feel like that's what we need more of. We need celebration, we need love, and we need forgiveness. And all I can do is say, oh my God, I don't know who these people are, but bless their heart. We have a saying in the South, bless their heart.
Yeah, we every now and then pull that one out to, oh, bless your heart. That's a very nice way to be like, would you just get out of my face? But you do it with a smile and keep going.
You know why? Because we have cells in our body that retain everything that we're going through. And my cells in my body, when I'm on stage, they vibrate joy. And I cry, but I sing. I sing through the tears, man. That means something to me. And my cells want to do something positive today. It's like walking. You feel better after you walk. You sit there, you feel sad, you're a victim. I'm a victor. I was taught to be a victor. I started in 1984 in country music, and I worked with the greatest of all time, from Loretta Lynn, Johnny Cash, you name it, I opened for them. And Mom and I, we bypassed boundaries, and we did our thing at the Super Bowl, to the White House, to the outhouse. We did it, and we made a difference. And that's what I want to do. I want to make a difference. I don't want to sit here and talk about the negative. I have too much work to do.
Next, when everyone would have understood if she just took some time to heal, Wynonna Judd tells us why she's back on tour.
It's not just a performance. This is a relationship. So going on tour gives me a purpose.
There's something on the other side. The other side.
And so you're on tour now. And obviously the tour pauses for a minute, but you've been performing and amazing levels of support. You're about to kick it off again Thursday in Hershey. Why'd you decide to do it? Why'd you decide to get right back on the road?
Because I'm not stupid.
Okay.
As a businesswoman, sure, we can go there all day. But let me tell you something. I'm either going to be sitting there having a moment of grieving, because I'm still in the grieving process, okay? Mm-hmm. Because I know that staying stuck is not a good thing for me. And I don't want to be stuck. I want to stay moving. And this tour gives me a way to connect with people that I've been with since I was 18 years old. I'm 58 years old. That's almost 40 years of being in the public eye. I grew up with these people. Think about it. It's not just a performance. This is a relationship, not a dictatorship. I don't give advice. I tell people my story and let them identify with me. And going on stage and telling my story is how we learn. I go to a lot of 12-step meetings, and we're never allowed to teach or preach. We're only allowed to give our strength and our hope. My strength is I believe in something good. And my hope is that tomorrow I don't practice my disease. And all we can do in these meetings is talk about our story. And that's how we teach each other, is through the story. So going on tour gives me a purpose. Yeah. And I don't get to sit here and listen to my own thoughts.
You're singing with friends who you've known, throughout your career and your life. They're up there with you. But in going through your social media and looking at video, it really seems like it's more of a relationship now, because people are getting the chance to speak back to you and tell you that they're here for you and supportive.
Absolutely, 100%. I feel like when I do my thing, other people can do their thing, and it gives them permission. Now, see, what you do is you go out there and you say, man, I'm having a tough day. I do not understand what's going on, but I can sing. And somebody else in the audience is going to go, she just gave me permission to do my thing. If that's going to help her, so be it.
Does it feel good that people are asking you, like, what can we do to be supportive, grieving with you? Your social media is pretty empowering. I keep talking about that because of all the flaws with social media. But yours was actually pretty encouraging, watching people rally around you.
I think everybody's tired of being sick and tired. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
We've been through a lot the last couple of years, and let's face it, we need more celebration, for God's sake. I feel like it's almost like after a funeral, what do people do? They go back to the house, they communicate, they talk, they eat, they have some casserole, and they get on with life because that's the way we are. And I know that sounds weird because I've had to do both. I've had to go from the memorial to the celebration back to another memorial, and I've had to go in and out of this grieving process, and it's been 9 months, but it doesn't end. It doesn't end. You go through it, you can't go around it. So this is part of my grieving process, is telling my story to these fans because, well, first of all, they trust me and I trust them. And I know that sounds corny, but it's the truth. I've known them and spent more time with them than I have half my family.
It actually doesn't sound corny. Like it sounds real. And I don't think you could continue doing this if that wasn't actually what you believe, because then it would be easier to just go somewhere and sit down and curl up into a ball. If you trust and believe in those people, then being there actually is everything you said, is supportive.
It is everything you said. And if it's not, if I'm in a situation where people are making fun or they're negative and they're saying stuff, you know what? Let the music speak for itself.
Coming up, it has clearly been a painful year. So how is Wynonna healing?
Just finished a song called Broken and Blessed. And it says, I'm somewhere between hell and hallelujah.
I'm going to make this fast because my heart's broken. And I feel so blessed, and it's a very strange dynamic to be this broken and this blessed.
What are we going to see on this tour now?
You're going to see me walking through a very difficult time as well as feeling like I'm being healed. These shows have become light therapy for me. You know, some people go get a tan at the tanning salon. Some people go get their hair did. Some people reach out to a friend. This is me reaching out. This is me literally reaching out saying, I don't want to do this by myself. I don't want to grieve by myself. Everybody's different. And everybody has a story of how they did theirs. I am a public person with my mother since 1984. And so I feel like this is part of the journey. And the closure will be after this tour. I feel like this will be a chapter closed. I'll go back in the studio, make a record, come out with music that I've been writing through this whole process. By the way, I just finished a song called Broken and Blessed. And it says, I'm somewhere between hell and hallelujah.
I like that. A lot of people talking about your situation. I want to hear from you. What don't we know? What is it that you want your fans and the public to know?
That I'm okay. I think there's a lot of chatter, and that can be really negative, and people can start to feed off of that and pass it on. It's like a bad virus. It's just one of those things. I'm okay. I had recently a situation with vertigo. It's like the crystals in your ear tell your brain that you're not balanced. So your brain does this, and all of a sudden you feel like you're out of balance and you can't do anything physically. I'm okay. Vertigo comes and goes. I'm stronger than I've ever been. I'm more emotional than I've ever been. So that combination makes for a good song. The shows are packed, full of entertainment in terms of from Tanya Tucker to Faith Hill to Little Big Town to Brandi Carlile. We've got all brands and kinds in our tour, and we are representative of the United States of America and even abroad. We're all so much alike. I think people forget that on social media. We are so alike. And I like to capitalize on that because the shows, we are different from different walks of life, but together we are as one. And I know that's corny, but I'm telling you, it works.
Final statement. We end every episode of The Pulse with the whole concept of the show is use your voice for good. We ask everybody what that means to them and kind of leave us with what use your voice for good means to you.
I was in Walmart yesterday. I haven't been in Walmart in 10 years. And a woman came up to me and she was being incredibly, well, she was embarrassed and thrilled to bother me. Mm-hmm. And I looked at her and I said, I am so glad to meet you, Phyllis. And she said, you said my name. and her face just changed. It was like a moment of the lights went on, right?
Yeah.
And I realized just by saying her name in a loving tone changed her entire demeanor. And I thought to myself, if we can just be kind to one another, it's not that difficult. You know, of course I'd maybe not want to be bothered because I'm with my daughter and we're shopping, but I said her name and here we are.
I am a fan of your strength and the way that you've handled this. And I appreciate your time. I wish you continued success, strength. We will be following and supporting the journey.
Thank you for letting me tell my story, and hopefully it'll help somebody else out there.
She's country music royalty, but she also has an amazing story to tell dealing with the tragedy of her mother, who died of suicide. I appreciate her taking the time to share her information, to share her struggles, to offer some level of support and guidance to all of us. And I hope that you enjoyed the discussion and learned something from it, as I did. And remember, if you are in need of help, if you are having thoughts of depression and or suicide, you can always dial 988. There's someone who is there to speak with you and support you 24 hours a day. And I leave you, as I always do, reminding you that whenever you can, use your voice for good, and have a good one.